Yes. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. We are in 148th session and we are discussing chapter number 14. We have covered 8 verses, and this is a chapter called The Three Modes of Material Nature. So, there are these three modes which are affecting us, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. We have briefly understood about these modes. We will also be learning a little bit more today about these verses. We have a few interesting verses. So before we begin, let's begin with the pranam mantras. It will be displayed on the screen so all of you can chant along with me the pranam mantras. Let's dedicate this session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and my beloved spiritual master. So kindly join your palms and let's chant the pranam mantras. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः हरे कृष्णा. So, in the previous sessions, we had discussed that how there is creation, there is primary creation, there is secondary creation, sarga, visarga. Sarga is creation, secondary creation is visarga. It is also called as prakrita and vaikrita. Then there is a primary creation that happens outside the Brahmanda, secondary creation that happens inside the Brahmanda by Brahma. There are three modes, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. There is Shuddha Sattva, Shuddha Rajas and Shuddha Tamas. Right now, in our combination as human beings or this particular body that we have, there is no Shuddha Sattva, no Shuddha Rajas and no Shuddha Tamas. We are mixed. We are constantly influenced by these three modes and we don't have anything in pure Sattva, Rajas or Tamas. We all have the combination of these three. And Shuddha Sattva is reserved for all the liberated souls, especially in the Satyuga, Satya Loka. Rajas is developed by or comes out of Mahatattva. Tamas, of course, has three kinds of false egos, which is Vaikarika Ahankara, Tejasa Ahankara, and Tamasa Ahankara. And due to all these different Ahankaras, there are Devatas, there are senses that comes out, and then the five elements that come out, right? We have discussed all of these. And then Brahmaji, when he starts creating, the creation is in 9 stages. There is Mahatattva, there is false ego, then sense perception develops, knowledge of the working capacity, that is Tanmatras, then the Devatas, then the Avidya is created, then the trees, then the movable animals, and then the humans finally, right? So these are the 9 stages of creation that Brahma creates. So today's sloka, this is verse number 9. So we can begin with this verse today. We have Lakshmi Mataji joining us on YouTube. Thank you so much. Hina Mataji, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the 9th verse. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati
सत्वं सुखे संजयति
rajah karmani bharata
रजः कर्मणि भारत।
ज्ञानम् आवृत्य तु तमः
ज्ञानम् आवृत्य तु तमः
प्रमादे सञ्जयत्युतः।
प्रमादे सञ्जयत्युतः।
Again, सत्त्वं सुखे सञ्जयति
सत्त्वं सुखे सञ्जयति।
रजः कर्मणि भारत।
रज कर्मणि भारत।
ज्ञानमावृत्य तु तमः
ज्ञानमावृत्य तु तमः
प्रमादे सञ्जयत् उत.
प्रमादे सञ्जयत्युता।
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness. Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes, Hare Krishna. So, in this section now, verse number 9 till whatever we are going to discuss until 15, these are quite straightforward shlokas which explain what is the effect of sattva, rajas, and tamas in different aspects of our life. So, it's because sattva, rajas, tamas is in total, these three modes are constantly bombarding us with many things, and our life is not just about eating and sleeping. We have various activities that we do, right? So all these different activities, right from birth till death, these three modes are affecting us. So in this verse, Krishna is saying, oh Bharata, this sattva guna, actually it conditions one for happiness. Right? So you see, Sattva means what? Happiness. It automatically makes a person happy. And in Sattva the probability of following dharma is more. Because when we follow the dharma as given in the Shastras, then dharma rakshati rakshita. Dharma actually protects one's all of us. And then when we protect dharma, dharma protects us. If we are able to follow dharma, then it makes us happy. Because that is how it is. Dharma means rules and regulations. When we are on a road driving a vehicle, I cannot say that I can just drive the way I want. It's my car. I can do whatever I want. No, it's not possible like that. If you just think that, okay, I'll just break the signal and go, then ultimately we are going to meet with an accident, right? But when we follow the traffic rules, we are safeguarded. The rules, although we may not like it, it's a kind of a restriction on our driving, but that restriction is meant for your protection. Similarly, dharma also is a set of rules. So when we follow those set of rules, it protects us. It keeps us happy. If I say, oh, it's my life, it's my body, I can do whatever I want, then it's going to trouble us. It's going to put us in danger. So that is why this sattva guna, what happens is in sattva guna, it actually helps us to follow dharma very nicely. And when you are following dharma properly, you are protected. And when there is protection, there is a sense of happiness. So you see how everything is connected. So when you are influenced more and more by sattva guna, which in fact is increased by following dharma, when you follow dharma, automatically the sattva guna increases in us. And our duty also right now, at this stage, Prabhu, what can I do? I cannot go to the spiritual world. But what can I do now? What's in your hands? Yes, one thing we can do is to increase the sattva guna in us more and more. Because the more we acquire sattva guna, the chances of escaping this maze will be better. So we can actually aim at this. Now, how do I actually increase my sattva guna? I can increase my sattva guna by associating with sattvic people, satsanga. So when I associate with sattvic people, my consciousness is raised automatically. That means when I am associating with sadhu, santa, the sattva guna influence is there on me more and more. I'm exposed to sattva guna. When I wake up early in the morning, I'm exposed to sattva guna. And when I eat sattvic food, I'm exposed to sattva guna. So this way, when all of our activities are actually in line with sattva guna, we are exposing ourselves to Sattva more and more, whether it is eating, whether it is sleeping, whether we are associating with people. So, in every aspect of our life, when we are surrounded by Sattvic people, that influence increases. So, this is something that we should do, very important as devotees. Because we have to come to the level of Sattva Guna. Why? Because Sattva Guna means you have a field of knowledge that is available to you. Because Sattva in the previous verse also, we have discussed how Sattva means it actually helps us to gain knowledge. So, because the more knowledge we gain, the more appropriately we can actually understand the activities, right? We will be able to understand the actions properly only when there is a proper level field. When we have proper knowledge, when we acquire proper knowledge, then we know how to act accordingly. Very, very important. So now, when we have come to this state, Krishna is saying here the mode of goodness increases the knowledge and makes you happy. Mode of passion, what it does, the mode of passion, a person becomes very fruitive. Means I will do something because I will get something. If I'm not getting something, I will not do anything. So we become very fruitive when we are influenced by a mode of passion, and that happens when we go and meet people in the offices. Everybody is looking after results, right from the boss to the person down. The boss is looking for the profits, and down the employee is looking for his monthly salary. He's working because I will get my result of salary, and the top boss is looking for his profits. He's also working because he wants to gain more and more results. Everybody is result oriented, and when we are exposed to such kind of environment, automatically that passion, and when there is no passion in the office, then they will say, oh, this person is lazy fellow. You will be Sattva, but they will say that, oh, he's a lazy fellow. Actually, Sattva is not lazy. Sattva means very highly intelligent, but it's just that sometime when you acquire a lot of Sattva, you cannot act in that very passionate mode. What happens is in Sattva, you will be like a think tank. You can work better as a manager than as an employee. Because down the line, okay, people are very youngsters, they're very passionate, they want to work late night, they want to create something new. That passion is there in them. But as you develop and also as your age increases, it's important that we develop this kind of a sattva guna, because sattva guna means knowledge. Knowledge means you direct people. You don't take orders, but you give knowledge to others because you're sattva guna. Sattva guna means brahmana, scientist. They don't take orders. They are intellectuals. Intellectuals don't like to work passionately, but they will work passionately at a mental level and intellectual level. Sattva guna is like that. They design things, they create systems. This is Sattva guna. So in an organization also, you see these kind of people, and when they are influenced with Sattva guna, they think big. They set goals for the company or for family or whatever it is. Sattva guna means you plan because that is knowledge. But passion is not like that. Passion is take orders, run, results. Take orders, run, and results. That is passion. You are always spending more and more money. And when you don't get that result, then there is dissatisfaction. You will not be happy because your happiness is based on result. But in Sattva it's not like that. Sattva your happiness is not based on results. It is based on the knowledge that you have. Whatever knowledge you have, you will utilize that knowledge and you will become happy. But in passion, it is based on results. And the result means you will definitely, sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you'll not get it. So sometimes you'll be happy, sometimes you'll be in distress. You see how these modes are influencing us day in and out. It's very shukshma. All our behaviors are all driven by this. Sometimes a person acts so nicely, sometimes a person acts so weird. It's all because of these three modes, right? And then there is the third, that is ignorance, that is avidya, that is tamoguna. So tamoguna, what happens is, it is like I told you earlier also, it is opposite of sattva. It completely, covers the knowledge. and binds one to madness. People are crazy sometimes. They do a lot of weird things which are harmful to oneself and to others. Tamoguna people, they are constantly thinking of how can I create some disturbance in the society, in the family. There are some people like that. There'll be some black sheeps in the family. They'll create a ruckus in the family. They'll create so much of disturbance in the family or in the society. Something good is happening, they cannot tolerate it. One thing is they are very lazy to do good things, but they will be very active in doing all the wrong things. This is tamoguna influence. Like the terrorists, you say, there will be some people who are uh, cultists, who are negative cults they have, and they do a lot of wrong things. They are inspired by tamoguna. So this is how tamoguna influences us and makes one very lazy. And we, in tamoguna, no matter how much you call them for a satsang, they cannot actually come. People of passion and ignorance cannot come for a satsang because their design is like that. They are influenced so much with ignorance, so much of tamoguna, it is difficult for them. The least that we can actually do is to give them prasadam. Many times, philosophy is not meant for everyone. People of passion and ignorance, they cannot understand philosophy because it requires a certain level of understanding. So the best thing that we can do is to give them prasadam. What is prasadam? Satvik ahara. So that is something that they can easily digest. So just give them prasadam, prasadam, prasadam. Prabhupada did that. People in America, when he went, they were fully in mode of passion and ignorance, full of passion and ignorance, all these hippies. But what did Prabhupada do? He gave them prasadam, fed them sattvic bhojan, continuously prasadam, 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 and then they started developing taste for philosophy and Sattvaguna. That is how Prabhupada brought them. And of course, Prabhupada himself was there, who is such a pure personality. He is a completely transcendental, out of these three modes. So when they were associating with a transcendental personality like Prabhupada himself, and then Prabhupada was giving them all this prasadam and little bit of doses of knowledge, so they could quickly take it up. They immediately transformed from tamoguna to sattvaguna because that is the power of a saintly person, right? साधु संग लव सर्वशास्त्र कहे लव मात्र साधु संग सर्व सिद्धि होय. Just a little association, moments association with a sadhu can transform our life. So this is very interesting. So this is how the three modes are affecting us, right? So let's go to the next verse. So Achutanji, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the 10th verse. So this 10th verse is also very nice. Here Krishna is saying, Rajastamashchabhibhyuya
रजस्तमश्चाभिभूय
Sattvam Bhavati Bharata
सत्त्वं भवति भारत
Rajasattvam Tamaschaiva
रजसत्त्वं तमश्चैव
Tamasattvam Rajastata.
तमसत्त्वं रजस्तथा
Once again, Rajastamaschabhibhuya
रजस्तमश्चाभिभूय
Sattvam Bhavati Bharata
सत्त्वं भवति भारत
Rajasattvam Tamaschaiva
रजसत्त्वं तमश्चैव
Tamasattvam Rajatata.
तमः तमसत्त्वं रजस्तथा.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance. O son of Varaka, sometimes the mode of passion defeats the goodness and ignorance, and at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for the supremacy. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So this is this is one more important thing to know. Now, I just told you, right, that how people they act so differently when they're influenced by these three modes. Continuously, morning they are like sadhus. Afternoon they'll be like passionate, running around. They'll be doing everything that is there. Whatever possible things they'll be doing, running around. And then sometimes they'll be acting so lazily. So this happens with all of us also. Why this is happening? You see, Prabhupada, Krishna is giving an answer here. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance. Then, O son of Bharata, sometimes the passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and sometimes the ignorance defeats the passion and goodness. So there is a constant competition between these three modes. And when there is competition, whoever is on the top, whether Satvaguna is top, Rajaguna is top, or Tamaguna is top, now accordingly a person will behave. So you should not be surprised that when people act differently from your expectation, it is because of the three modes influence. Sometimes when you meet a person, oh, he's influenced by Satvaguna, and when you meet that person in Satvaguna, you will feel, I've met such a wonderful person. He's so good, so good. This is like, you will be like you'll be so happy to meet such a personality. And some other time when you meet him somewhere in the market or sometime in the departmental store, you find that same person, he'll be driven by passion. He'll be looking at this to eat, that to eat, transaction of money over phone and this thing. Then you will feel this person, I thought he's such a saintly person when I met him in a temple. But now this person is totally very different, just like me. Whatever I do, he's also doing the same thing. So he's not as great as what I thought. So why that is happening? Because earlier you met him in a time when he was in totally Sattva. Now you are meeting when he's in Tamoguna. And sometimes you will see him in Tamoguna. You are walking on a street and this person is smoking the cigarette or drinking alcohol, he's totally in Tamoguna. Then your perception about that person when you first met him and your perception about after a certain time is totally changed. That is why we don't have to judge people immediately is one reason, because we don't know a person when he's influenced by all these three modes. See, because we meet a person for a short time, we cannot at a very small duration of time understand a person. We need to give some time to understand a person. We don't know in what state he is right now, whether he's influenced by goodness, passion, or ignorance. So we cannot judge a person in a very first meeting. Many people say, oh, I met him, I understand that person, I know he's like that only. No. Sometimes when you meet a person, it might be in a mode of ignorance prominent at that particular time, but overall his personality may not be like that. In just a few instances and moments he might have acted something weirdly, but he's predominantly a sattvic person. Sometimes people are predominantly a rajasic person. Sometimes predominantly a person is tamasic person. So in just one instance we cannot judge a person. So that is why, especially as devotees, when we are meeting so many people or even meeting devotees, we should not judge anyone just by their actions at a certain point of time. We should wait and watch. We should not come to any conclusion about a person very soon. We can conclude about a person only when we have sufficiently spent over good amount of time, and then okay, we can come to some consensus about a person. We should not judge otherwise. Forget about others. Do we know ourselves? We are almost 40 years and 40 plus year, 50 years. Do we know ourselves? We are having multiple personalities within ourselves, right? So many times we act so differently, and we ourselves we get surprised. So when we don't judge ourselves, why judge somebody else, right? So this is how these three modes are constantly competing. So when there's competition, we should know this formula. We should know at the background when somebody is acting in a certain way, sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes very passionate. We should know that these three modes are competing. एट द बैकग्राउंड आपको लगना चाहिए कि आपको पता होना चाहिए कि ये इंसान जो अभी इस तरह से व्यवहार कर रहा है, it is because of there is certain competition going on between the modes. He's influenced. All of us are also influenced. So this competition is there. And interestingly, you see, these are all puppeteers. These three modes are what? Puppeteers. And who are we? We are puppets. So sometimes the Satvaguna puppeteer will become so active that he will, make us act in a certain way. Rajaguna puppeteer will make us act in a certain way. And Tamoguna will make. Competition is going on constantly. I will control him, I will control him, I will control him. Satvaguna is saying, no, I will control him now. This is my time. It's morning time. Satvaguna will say, I am predominant now. My power should be more. You Rajo and Guna and Tamoguna, you be quiet because it's Sattvic time, it's Brahma Muhurta time. I will influence. My influence is more. Then moment after 10 o'clock, what happens is Satuguna, he says, okay, now I'm weak. Rajaguna will take over. He says, now it's my time. I will make you work, run around, take the metro, take the buses, drive here, drive to that place. Act passionately, this meeting, that meeting. Rajaguna takes over. Then Rajaguna becomes tired. Then Tamaguna says, okay, now it's time. Both of you have worked enough. Now, Satuguna, Rajaguna, now I will make this person sleep and make him lazy. So, this is how the three gunas are actually acting continuously this way. And what happens? We are thinking, I am acting. I am very tired. I am very passionate. I am working so hard. I am so good early morning. I offer my prayers. It's all because there is an influence of these three modes. Of course, you desire. It's not that you don't desire. Only based on our desires, these three modes influence us. Even in the afternoon time when the Rajoguna is prominent, you can still remain Sattva because your desire is powerful. If you desire to be spiritual all the time, you can remain spiritual all the time. These modes cannot influence us. That requires sadhana. How can I remain, out of this competition? Out of this competition means competition between these three modes. This is competition, right? So I should remain out of this competition. That is bhakta. That is sadhana. A sadhana will keep us out of this competition of three modes. That is important. Okay, so Vinodji, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse. This is also one nice, interesting verse. So you understood the competition now about the three words, about the three modes. Now, verse number 11. सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन्
सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन्
प्रकाश उपजायते
प्रकाश उपजायते
ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्याद्
ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्यात्
वृद्धं सत्त्वं मित्युतः.
वृद्धं सत्त्वम् इत्युक्तः.
Wonderful. Once again, सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन्
सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन्
प्रकाश उपजायते
प्रकाश उपजायते
ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्यात्
ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्यात्
विवृद्धं सत्त्वमित्युतः.
वृद्धिदं सत्त्वम् इत्युक्तः.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. So, Vinodji, which are the 9 gates? What gates are they talking about here? So, the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body. So, gates of the body means
Senses.
Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas.
yes, Karmendriya, Gyanendriyas. There are 9 gates, right? This body is called the body is called the Navadwara Pura. This is the city of 9 gates. It's a Pura, Navadwara Pura. Though in this city there are 9 gates. So, which are the 9 gates? The 9 gates are 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth. So, 7 are here only. 7 gates are in the face, in the top, head level. Head level there are 9. And of course, where we pass urine and stool, that is the other 2. So, 8 and 9. So, this body is called Navadwarapura. So, 9 gates are there. Of course, there are Ekadasha gates also, but 2 gates are closed now, which is that navel. Whenever we were in mother's womb, the navel was there. There was one more gate there. That gate is permanently closed now. And there is one more on the head. That is Brahmarandra. That Brahmarandra is also closed now. right? So these two gates, we have 11 gates, but two gates are permanently closed, 11 gates are open. So that's why nine gates. So nine gates, Krishna is saying the mode of goodness, you can experience the mode of goodness when the body of these nine gates, I mean, the nine gates are illuminated in this body. Illuminated by what? Illuminated by knowledge. That means what? It means that when this body we have, this body, when it is having this nine gate, which is illuminated by knowledge, then automatically you are in the mode of goodness. So that means my eyes are illuminated by knowledge when I see the deities continuously, when I see things as they are. Then automatically what happens? This is my eyes are illuminated. Eyes are not illuminated because I'm seeing things. Eyes are illuminated when I have knowledge, the spiritual knowledge. Similarly, ears, when I'm hearing this Bhagavad Gita continuously, then what's happening? My ears are illuminated. Now you are illuminated. Your ears are illuminated because you're listening to Bhagavad Gita. So when you have prasadam, when you speak about Krishna, then your mouth, your tongue is illuminated. When you smell the flowers offered to the Lord, then your nostrils are illuminated. When you get the fragrance of the prasadam, Mahaprasadam, that also is illuminating our. So similarly, when either urination or excretion or the reproductive organ also, when it is utilized for the service of Krishna through knowledge, all these nava gates, these nine gates, are illuminated. So when all these senses, your karmendriyas and jnanendriyas, are influenced by the mode of goodness, and in turn when you are engaged in devotional service, mode of goodness becomes prominent. So when we engage our senses automatically in devotional service, then the mode of goodness becomes prominent. You will start experiencing that joy because goodness is coming into you, because you're controlling the senses. You're not allowing the senses to randomly go here and there. I will eat this, I will eat that, I will see this, I will see that. No, you are controlling the senses, then automatically they become illuminated by knowledge. And knowledge means you are in goodness, and that makes you happy. So that's why some level of control is always good. Control restrictions are always not bad, they are good. So we should know that this restriction is meant for my happiness. That's why Shastras are very carefully talking to us in this way because they know how this body and mind is connected. They know not just the connection between body and mind, but also the soul. So the soul is suffering. So the soul has to be happy. It can be happy when it's in the mode of goodness. So these are the secrets. See, we are all happy. When a person, when they say, no, that I'm not happy, Prabhuji, I'm doing so many things. That so many things is what? You're doing so many things means you are actually engaging your senses left, right, center continuously. He's saying that I'm doing so many things, but I'm still not happy. I'm working so hard. Correct, Baba, you're working so hard, but you're working so hard for what? To gratify your senses. And ultimately, these nine gates are totally busy with so many nonsensical things. You're opening these gates to all the material things. So these gates are not meant to be opened for material enjoyment. These gates should be opened only when there is good coming. Rest of the time, like a security guard, you should actually block it. Like at every gate in your community also, you have a security guard. He opens the gate only when a resident comes in, only when a guest comes in, right? He does not allow everybody. So similarly, these gates are there in these nine gates. You cannot open my eyes or our eyes to anything. I should have the discrimination to close. Whenever I don't want to see something which is not right for me, I should close the gate. Whenever there is something I like to eat, not that I will open my mouth for everything that is coming before me. No. When I'm in a meeting, I'm meeting with so many people, they are having some lunch, a team meeting or team lunch or whatever it is. I will not take anything that is simply put it on my table. No. I am very discriminative. I will close. My security guard at the mouth will stop. I should stop. Otherwise, what will happen is I'm working so hard, Prabhuji, but I'm not happy. Correct, Baba, you are working so hard, but your gates, your this 9 gates are open to everybody. And you are thinking you're working so hard. Working so hard for what? Keeping these gates busy. Then you are in a problem. So you should teach them. See, this is a science. It's a very important science. We should tell people you work hard, but work hard to keep the gates closed and allow only that which is good for you. Hard working is important. Otherwise, very difficult. So think about it. This is very important. How much are we keeping our gates open to all material things and spiritual things? Important. If you are busy working hard to keep these gates open all the time, then it's difficult. It's going to be very difficult because it's going to make us unhappy. But if not, you are illuminated with knowledge, then you are very careful and you are very happy all the time. This is a secret. So happiness is connected to these 9 gates. You see now, you can think about it, right? So, Ina Mataji, unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse. Verse number 12. This is also very interesting. So that previous thing was about Sattva and Rajoguna. Lobha pravartirarambha
लोभा प्रवृत्तिर आरंभा
karmanam ashma spriha
कर्मणाम अशमा स्पृहा
rajas etani jayante
रजस एतानि जायन्ते
vivridhe bharatarshava.
विवृधे भरतर्षभा
Again, labha pravritirarambha
लभ प्रवृत्तिरारंभा
karmanam ashma spriha
कर्मणाम अश्मः स्पृहा
rajasi etani jayante
रजसि एतानि जायन्ते
vivridhe bharatarshava.
विवृधे भरतर्षभा.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. Hare Krishna.
So, see, when the mode of goodness increases, we know what happens. But now, when mode of ignorance, mode of passion increases, then what happens? There is a lot of attachment that we develop. Then, fruitive active, like I told you, if we want results, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develops. So this today's world, modern society is predominantly rajasic in nature. Everybody is working so hard. There is so much of attachment. There is so much of intense endeavor. All ugra karma. There is so much of ugra karma that is happening. I will build a big skyscrapers, all for material enjoyment. All big development activities, either in terms of infrastructure or in terms of technological development. All these things are why? Because of intense rajoguna. There is rajoguna now when there is developmental things happening, there is nothing wrong. Develop passion is required. But when that passion is driven by the desire for fruitive activities, desired for my sense enjoyment, then that is wrong. Now, we are not against technological developments. We are not against all the infrastructural developments. No, but when that is the idea behind this is for my enjoyment, then it is a problem. But when we do all these technological things for people's happiness and for ultimately for as a service to the Lord, then what happens? It's having its own good thing. But when it is developed with lot of passion, fruitful results, intense endeavor we are doing, attachment we are developing, then what happens is it becomes very difficult. Now, you see, in a man's life also, in a people's life, this passion, where does this come from? It generally it comes when there is a attraction between a male and a female. Then this mode of passion comes into picture, and this, when they come together, that passion increases, and then that attachment increases. And when this, the root cause of the increase in mode of passion is this attachment between a male and a female. It begins there, and then it increases more and more when you have children. Then there is a lot of attachment, and then I don't want to stay in a 1 bhk room, I want to have a 3 bhk room. And then you say, no, this is not enough, I want a palatial building. So it all comes and begins at this point. So this is how that hankering develops, because mode of passion will not let you be satisfied. Sattva means you are satisfied with what you have. Your focus is not on what you don't have. The focus is on what you already have. That is Sattva. But in Rajoguna, what happens is, Rajoguna, your focus is not on what you already have. The focus is on what you don't have. And that is how the comparison begins. Oh, I have this car, but I don't have that car which that person has. That comparison is there. And when that comparison begins, then you will start hankering. Oh, yes, I also should have that. So your focus is not on what you already have. You have a very nice, good car, but you will not focus on that. You will focus on something that what you don't have. And that gives you a lot of pain. Passion is always something that ultimately ends up in some distress because you are not getting the result, right? So there is no end to sense gratification. Previously also I've told, when you pour petrol in fire, it's just going to increase more and more. So when people in passion, they think that, okay, if I get this, I'll be happy, and they get it also, and then they get this mobile. Oh yes, for a few days I'm enjoying, and then after then, you are just adding ghee to the fire. It will increase because you say, oh no, I want the next model, I want the next model, I want the next model. And that way we will remain entangled, and we develop uncontrollable desire. I've seen passionate people. I'm sure you also must have seen passionate people who are extreme. They are so passionate, constantly they work so hard, and they would get so much of money, and that kind of parties they do, the kind of involvement that they have in all these passionate work, it's so intense. And once when they don't get something, they are so dull. That day they will be totally dull. Very difficult. Extreme cases these are. So we should know these are all symptoms of a person who is driven by mode of passion. When you see such a person, right, who is dissatisfied all the time, it's a symptom that he's a Rajasic person. Sattvic person is a very satisfied person. This is a Sattvic fellow. No problem. So it helps us also because when you this knowledge is helping us. When you go and meet tomorrow, or after this session, when you go and meet, you have your social gathering. You will go and attend his apartment meetings. When you see different types of people here, you will see, this fellow is a Rajasic person, he's a Tamasic person, he's a Sattvic person, he's a very satisfied person. You can actually make out. Don't go and tell them, oh, you're a very Rajasic person. They'll think, what happened to you? No, no, I just attended that Bhagavad Gita class today, and Prabhuji has told, these are the symptoms of passionate person. I see that all the symptoms in you, that's why you're a Rajasic person. Next time he will not talk to you only. So don't go and upright tell them that you are a Rajasic person, Tamasic person. They may not really understand the context that you're talking about, right? So we can analyze, but as if you're really interested in understanding the body language of people, understanding people's psychology, then understanding these three modes is very helpful, because when you understand these three gunas, no, you can understand psychology very nicely. Most of the psychiatrists, they may not even know all these things because they are limited. They don't know. They cannot study about these things. But when you understand these three modes, you can actually become a good psychologist. At least you will get to know what type of person this is, how this person is acting, why is he acting. That you will get to know. Predominantly, whether this person is a sattvic person, rajasic person, or tamasic person, you can understand. So these are interesting things that Krishna is sharing. We should know, right? Achutanji, unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse. 13th verse. अप्रकाशो प्रवृतिश्च
अप्रकाशो प्रवृत्तिश्च
प्रमादो मोह एव च
प्रमादो मोह एव च
तमस्येतानि जायन्ते
तमस्येतानि जायन्ते
विवृधे कुरु नन्दन.
विद्युते कुरु नन्दन
Wonderful. Once again, aprakasho pravritischa
अप्रकाशो प्रवृत्तिश्च
pramado moha eva cha
प्रमादो मोह एव च
tamasyetani jayante
तमस्येतानि जायन्ते
विवृधे कुरु नन्दन.
विद्युते कुरु नन्दन.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, or some to do darkness, inertia, tiredness, confusion, are manifested.
Yes, thank you so much. So this is exactly opposite of the Sattva-guna and Rajaguna, which is when there is increase of mode of ignorance. That means when there is so much of ignorance that comes up, then what happens is, in one sense, this Navadwara, these nine gates, are not illuminated by knowledge. They are totally dark. That means this our eyes, our panchendriyas and gyanendriyas are fully covered with material things only. It's not that tamoguna people cannot see. It's not that tamoguna people cannot hear. They can see and hear and all these things, but they are not illuminated. Means they cannot understand the spiritual things. So a tamasic person, why is he not able to understand is because all his nine gates are closed. Closed in the sense they are materially filled. That's why they are not illuminated with dark matter, with all these propensities to enjoy oneself. When these nine gates are fully engaged in sense gratification, then they are not illuminated at all. There is no tapasya. So when there is no tapasya, how can these nine gates be illuminated? So that is why earlier also I told you our intention right now should be to come to the level of goodness. To come to the level of goodness means what? Making our nine gates free from all this dirt, lust, greed, anger, envy, pride, right? And slowly illuminating these nine gates by eating prasadam, by associating with devotees, by listening to Bhagavad Gita. So what are we doing? We are slowly illuminating our jnanendriyas and the karmenendriyas. So important. Why devotional service? Why we're telling you do Laddu Gopal Seva, you do Nitai Gauranga Seva at home. Why this is because we are including our panchendriyas, including our jnanendriyas, and slowly moving towards sattva-guna. This is why the process is there. Right? So what happens in Tamoguna? This is what is happening. Krishna is saying they are in darkness. Darkness means no spiritual knowledge. Knowledge they may be having, but no spiritual knowledge. That's why darkness. Then inertia, lazy people. You, when somebody is so tamoguna, you tell them 10 times, they will not do anything. They'll be so, they cannot think more. They cannot perform actions properly because they're in darkness. And then there is madness also because they can hurt themselves and others. There is madness, crazy people. They're very negative people. They're constantly thinking how to hurt someone, harm someone. All this is illusion which is manifested by these people when there is increase of uh, tamoguna. So they may have the capacity to work, but they don't make any endeavor to work. They are lazy people, inertia. All that Lord has given them that enough strength to work, but they will not work. Neither intellectual work is happening, neither mental work is happening, neither physical work is happening. Inertia, lazy people. Okay, so this is ignorance. Dave, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse, 14th verse. 14th verse is Yada Satve Pravradhetu
यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृद्धेतु
Pralayam Yadi Deha Bhrat
प्रलयं याति देहभृत्
Tadottam Vidham Lokan
तदोत्तं विदां लोकान्
Amalan Pratipadyate.
अमलान् प्रतिपद्यते.
Once again, Yada Satve Pravradhetu
यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृद्धेतु
Pralayam Yati Deha Bhrat
प्रलयं याति देहभृत्
तदोत्तमा विधाम लोकान
तदोत्तमविदां लोकान्
अमलान प्रतिपद्यते.
अमलान् प्रतिपद्यते.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So, in this verse, Krishna is now talking about what happens to a person who is in Sattva Guna, and when he dies, where does he go? Very simple, straightforward. Krishna is saying, so when one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains the to the pure higher planets of great sages. So above this Bhuloka, where we are there in this earthly planet, there are many higher planets, right? There are higher planets like Swargaloka, Bhuvarloka, Maharloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka. So there are higher planets. As higher you go, the planets above are free from Rajoguna and Tamoguna. The higher planets are not influenced by Rajoguna, not influenced so much by Rajoguna and Tamoguna. The more higher you go, the higher planets, the Devatas are all in Sattvaguna. The more you increase Sattvaguna, what happens is we will automatically be promoted to the higher planets. The Mahar Loka, the Bhuhar Loka, to the Swarga Loka, Tapoloka, Janaloka, then Satya Loka. So all these different higher planetary systems are made in such a way that people in goodness can stay there and reside there. So there is so much of enjoyment and happiness and so much they can experience there because there is no Rajoguna and Tamoguna. There is no Rajoguna Tamoguna there. Everything is so sattvic. So they enjoy there. So we can go to the higher planet. So what happens to the people in mode of goodness? One thing is sure, they'll go to the higher planetary systems. Then what happens to the people in Sattva, Rajoguna and Tamoguna? That is mentioned in the next verse, 15th verse. So Vinodji, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant this. 15th verse. So 15th verse Krishna is saying, Rajasi pralayam gatva
Rajasi Pradyam Tattva
कर्मा संगीषु जायते
Karma Sangi Sujayate
तथा प्रलिनस्तम तमसी
Tatha Pralimnas Tamtvasi
मूढ़ा योनिषु जायते.
Mudha Yoni Sujayate
Once again, रजसी प्रलयं गत्वा
Rajasi Pralayam Gatva
कर्म संगीषु जायते
Karma Sangi Sujayate
तथा प्रलिनस्तमसि
Tatha Pralinas Tamasi
मूढ़ योनिषु जायते.
Mudha Yoni Sujayate.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities, and when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Ah, Hare Krishna. So very clearly see. Now we're all very passionate, right? in this earthly planet. Why people take birth in this earthly planet? Because predominantly we are driven by passion. So one reason for us to take birth here in this planet, on this earthly planet, is this mode of passion, Rajoguna. So please understand, people here are very Rajasic in nature. That's why there is so much of activity that is going on earthly planets, right? A lot of people are endeavoring with intense endeavor is happening because they're driven by the mode of passion. That's why this whole earthly planet is a field of Rajoguna. But when a person is predominantly driven by ignorance, tamoguna, then he takes birth into spirit in the lower species. Because lower species means what? They don't have any spiritual jnana. Their senses, this Navadvara Pura that we heard previously, or their nine gates, are not illuminated by any knowledge, any sort of knowledge. So Krishna says, the nature says, because you are dominated by tamoguna, why do you need a human form of body? You better go down in the animal kingdom, because animal kingdom are anyway not inquiring. All their nine gates are closed with ignorance. They only do what? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So because they are only involved in eating, sleeping, and mating and defending, so you better become an animal. So in human form of life, if we are also engaged only in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, we are dvipa, the pashu. We are two-legged animals. Correct? So we don't have to remain in this state of animalistic nature. We can come out of this. Sometimes people act very animalistic. I think people are creating movies also now, something called as animal. I recently saw there was some poster that was popping up. People are making movies on animal, naming it as an animal, and people are acting like that now. What to do? People are acting like animals. So why that is? Because of predominantly they're driven by ignorance. So Sattva is the best. Below that is Rajoguna. This is a field of activity. From Rajoguna to Tamoguna, it is even more down, degraded. But when you want to shift from Tamoguna to Sattva, it takes a lot of effort. If you want to shift from Rajoguna to Sattva, it takes a little effort, but it is possible. So basically, the point here is Krishna is talking about a destination here of a Sattvaguna person, a Rajoguna person, and a Tamaguna person. So, our destination, where are we going to go in the next life? Our promotion or demotion is based or determined by the three modes: Sattvaguna, Rajoguna, and Tamaguna. Sattvaguna, you will go to Swargaloka, higher planets. Rajoguna, you will come back to the same earthly planets and you will continue with your karma, taking a form of a human being. But if you are influenced by tamoguna, then we will take birth as some lower species, some animal. So, so this is how we are all very much controlled by Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. We should understand how these three gunas are influencing us day in and out. Our whole psychology can be understood when we actually understand these three modes properly. You can understand yourself very nicely, better, when we understand Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. So listen to this carefully, these sessions very carefully, make notes, and you can read this 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita regularly, understand them. And you also analyze, like today's session, we have discussed about the nine gates, right? The Navadvara. Understand how am I utilizing my nine gates in my body? How am I utilizing my panchendriyas, my jnanendriyas? How are these utilized by me? So when you understand these nine gates properly, how I'm in Sattvaguna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna will be understood properly. Okay, so contemplate on all these things, and I'm sure you will have some illumination that will flow into you. You'll understand much better. Okay. So very nice. All of you, thank you so much for joining on YouTube. All those devotees who have joined on YouTube, thank you very much. You can listen to them, these sessions, or every Sunday, the Bhagavad Gita sessions. You can join whenever possible. It will be very great. So you can also ask questions. If you have questions, you can always leave your comments in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining. And all those devotees who have joined on YouTube and on StreamYard here, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, you can please send your questions on the WhatsApp group that we have. Thank you very much. Please take care. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhupada.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.